Distinguished speakers, Mr. Formigoni, Commissioner General of Expo and President of the Lombardy region, Mr. Vicente Losertales, Secretary General of Bureau International des Expositions. I would also welcome Mr. Pisapia, Mayor of Milan, Excellencies, distinguished Commissioners General, participants, ladies and gentlemen. I'm honored to speak on behalf of the United Nations. The United Nations, spearheaded by the food agencies based in Rome, namely the Food and Agriculture Organization, the International Fund for Agricultural Development, and the World Food Programme, are deeply committed to Expo 2015, together with Biodiversity International. Senior colleagues from these agencies, United Nations colleagues from New York and elsewhere are here today to show our commitment to Expo 2015. I wish to first describe where we presently stand in feeding the world and how well we look after our planet in bringing food to our plates. Secondly, I will explain the unique strategic partnership of the United Nations in Expo 2015. Finally, I wish to highlight the opportunity to organize events on the Millennium Development Goals and the post-2015 development agenda in the context of Expo 2015. The challenge of feeding the planet has the undivided attention of today's governments, multilateral agencies, the private sector, philanthropic foundations, civil society, as well as the media, more so than ever before. This bodes well for Expo 2015. Earlier this year, at the Rio+20 conference, governments reaffirmed the fundamental right of everyone to be free from hunger. Freedom from hunger requires that enough food is produced around the world, that people can access the food they need by growing it, buying it, or through safety nets, that people can get the nutrition they need from the food and water they consume. And finally, that people can enjoy these conditions at all times. Among the more fortunate, food issues have engendered a renewed appreciation of the saying, "We are what we eat," giving cause for reflection and action on the dietary and lifestyle choices we make. How well are we feeding the planet? The data paints a picture of extremes, and here I want to repeat some of the statistics mentioned by Mr. Formigoni. The world grows far more food than ever before, theoretically enough to feed our present global population of 7 billion people. Global food prices remain high and volatile. They're hurting all consumers, but not benefiting all producers, particularly small and poor producers. However, 868 million men, women, and children are chronically hungry. 2 billion people suffer from a lack of vital vitamins and minerals in their diet, which is called hidden hunger. More than 100 million children under 5 are underweight and therefore unable to realize their full human and socio-economic potential. And childhood malnutrition is the cause of death of millions of children every year. Yet, 1.4 billion adults are overweight. 500 million of them are obese, putting their own health at risk. The ongoing food crisis in the Horn of Africa and the Sahel provides an illustration of the challenge and opportunities. In these two regions alone, millions of people's lives have been saved by vital food assistance at the same time that a comprehensive plan is being put in place to rebuild agriculture and build resilience. How well do we look after our planet in bringing food onto our plates? There are opportunities for improvement, if only we could waste less and harness know-how. For every 100 kilos of food we eat, we have to produce 150 kilos, because on average, 1/3 of all food produced in the world is wasted. What an unnecessary use of all the precious resources that went into growing, harvesting, storing, transporting, and processing that wasted food. Agriculture accounts for 70% of all the world's freshwater used every year. Agriculture accounts for some 30% of global greenhouse gas emissions. Globally, we know about practices for growing food in ways that puts less strain on our natural resources. We also know that investments in sustainable agriculture and in research and education can keep us ahead. There are more challenges ahead. By 2050, 2 billion more mouths will need to be fed. Diets worldwide are also changing in favor of products that put greater strain on land, water, energy, and our environment, such as, for example, meat. This year, the worst drought in 50 years in the United States hit their corn production badly and contributed to the surge in prices in early summer, further compounding high volatility in world markets. Climate change has also been a wake-up call to ensure that the future is forged on the basis of sustainable development to better conserve forests, oceans, soil, water, and other natural resources. The world also faces great challenges to conserve biodiversity. About 75% of the genetic diversity of agricultural crops has been lost since 1900. Many fish stocks are overexploited, and 1/3 of livestock breeds are under threat of extinction within the next 20 years. In June this year, Ban Ki-moon, United Nations Secretary General, launched the Zero Hunger Challenge at Rio+20 to ensure that, in a world of plenty, no one should go hungry. Last month, at the opening of the UN General Assembly, he declared, "Sustainable development is the key to our hopes for the future," and his top priority. Sustainable development cannot be realized unless hunger is eradicated. We need food and better nutrition on everyone's plate, with less strain on our natural resources. And when we feed the planet in a sustainable way, we will also reduce poverty and improve world security. In addressing the first international participants meeting on behalf of the United Nations last year, I applauded the focus on feeding the planet. The analysis I have just presented about feeding the planet is very much the work of the United Nations and its many partners. So this year, let me go further and declare that we recognize and welcome the unique role that the United Nations can play in Expo 2015. We look forward to being a strategic partner before and during Expo 2015. In previous Universal Expos, the United Nations typically had a single physical pavilion at Expo sites. Expo 2015 will be different. For Expo 2015, the United Nations can make a contribution in many areas of the Milano Expo site because of the unique expertise we can bring in nearly all facets of the theme. For example, Expo 2015 will raise stimulating questions about feeding the planet. It will highlight the interrelationships between production, consumption, environmental and nutritional challenges, the commonalities and diversity of the world's regions, and the potential of food chains to make food available across time and space. Expo 2015 will give prominence to the role of women in feeding the world and focus on children. Such wide-ranging issues are the United Nations' mission and passion, where we can provide our expertise to develop Pavilion Zero. Expo 2015 has chosen thematic topics such as biodiversity, agriculture and nutrition in arid zones, the sea, and food. The Expo will have food chain clusters on crops such as rice, cereal and tubers, fruit and legumes, cocoa, coffee, and the world of spices. In all these areas, the United Nations has a wealth of knowledge, experience, and expertise for governments and other participants to use in developing both the concept and the physical exhibition sites. The experience comes from both the United Nations work in countries around the world and from our global standard-setting work that facilitates the decisions and choices needed to build a stronger and more sustainable future for our world. We have recognized that the strategic partnership between Expo 2015 and the United Nations requires an early start so that the United Nations' breadth of experience and neutrality can be leveraged during this critical preparatory phase. Our engagement already started in July 2012, when a UN Expo team was set up with representatives from each of the food agencies based in Rome. We are currently in the process of formalizing the details of the United Nations collaboration with Expo 2015 to be outlined in a participation contract, which we expect to sign before the end of 2012. Expo 2015 will be a unique opportunity for advocacy, dialogue, and mutual understanding on humankind's most basic need, feeding ourselves and fellow humans. It will be a mixing pot for ideas and innovation, communicating new understanding to the many millions who will visit here in Milan and the hundreds of millions who will engage virtually through the Cyber Expo. It will bring together governments, civil society, business, and international organizations from across the world in a way that would not otherwise be possible, even for a global organization such as the United Nations. Expo 2015 will take place in a year when world leaders will assemble in New York to take stock of progress on the Millennium Development Goals and to agree on advancing a global agenda beyond 2015. A number of events and debates could be organized in the context of Expo 2015 on the MDGs and the post-2015 development agenda. Ladies and gentlemen, let me conclude by stressing that it lies within our reach to eliminate hunger and overnutrition. It will require profound changes in the way we produce and consume food and manage the Earth's resources. The Universal Expo of Milan, through the various interpretations of its theme, will contribute to a better understanding of the key issues and challenges. It will illustrate how food systems and cultures vary across the globe. Looking to the future, it will help us focus on the need to ensure a wider choice of food while curbing obesity and targeting undernutrition with a view to bring the consumption of the world's resources into balance. The United Nations is pleased to be a key partner of Expo 2015, and we look forward to contributing to its success. Thank you.